These lice infestations in small ruminants is a common problem throughout India. These are neglected everywhere. Sheep and goats are a host to many ecto and endoparasites, as these are grazing animals, and the effective stages of many parasites are available in the pasture. The climate of our country and our management system favors this parasitic infection as compared to other developed countries and temperate countries. And this is again worsened by poor and inadequate nutritional provision or status, improper housing, and overcrowded house. So these animals easily get these infections and suffer more with the small load of parasites even. Therefore, the management of parasitism is an important aspect of profitable small ruminant production. If we do this, if we can minimize the parasitic infections or manage those infections in time, we can check loss to some extent. Lice and flea both belong to class Insecta under phylum Arthropoda, and both these are wingless insects. Lice are of two types depending on the feeding practice, feeding habits. The lice can be classified into two types. One is chewing or biting lice, which come under order Melophaga. Melophaga means, literally it means which feeds on bad objects, and particularly wool. And sucking lice, which come under order Anopleura, they suck blood from their host. Earlier, these two types of lice were coming under one order, that was Theraptera. It is obsolete now. Actually, this biting lice nomenclature is not correct. It is just accepted like that. It is more appropriate to call it a chewing lice, because sometimes we confuse with biting. If biting flies are sucking blood, why not this louse? Actually, it is chewing lice. It doesn't suck blood or penetrate deeper. Two types of lice, chewing lice and sucking lice. Very important to identify a louse, whether it is by chewing lice or it is sucking lice, because based on that, mode of treatment, mode of application of insecticides will vary. Otherwise, we'll be losing spending on insecticides if it is a chewing lice. If we administer the insecticides parenterally or we apply systemic insecticides, it may not work. So from that point of view, I wanted to emphasize on these points, how to grossly differentiate these two types of louse. In case of chewing lice, the head is broad and rounded anteriorly, and the thorax is prothorax, and meso and metathorax are fused together. So thorax appear two segmented. Whereas in case of sucking lice, the head is narrow, pointed, and it is even longer than the total length of thorax, and all the three segments of thorax are fused. And in case of this chewing lice, most of which we find on birds, they are having well-developed claws, maybe single or double. Usually bird lice which infest on birds, they possess a pair of claws, because to hold the bird firmly when they are flying or moving their feathers. And in some cases, one claw may be present. But in case of sucking lice, the claw is, there is one single well-developed claw, which is present at the tip of the legs, and there is a tibial pad with the help of which it clings to the host hair or wool. And the mouth parts are sucking and chewing type. So based on this, If we examine the lice, even with the help of a hand lens, after removing from host body, we can easily know whether it is a biting louse or sucking louse. So based on that, we can go for treatment. Sheep goats, they have different species of louse, and sometimes one or two species, they also infest both sheep and goats, but not other larger ruminants or other animals. As we know, lice are very host specific. So for our country is concerned, whatever species we have recorded, identified in our country, prevalent in our country, the sheep biting lice is Damalenia ovis, which was earlier called as Bovicola ovis. Similarly, goats has two species, Damalenia capri and Bovicola limbata. This Bovicola limbata particularly specific to Angora goats having long hairs, from where we get mohair. And these lice have been recorded in Jammu and Kashmir and other parts where Angora goats we find. Coming to sucking lice, there are three species mainly which occur in sheep: Linognanthus ovillus, Linognanthus africanus, and Linognanthus pedalis. This Linognanthus ovillus is highly prevalent, and it is commonly called as body louse, blue louse, or face louse of sheep. Actually, it prefers to area or part of body where less the hair is short. But when they are large in number, they can infest entire body. Then Linognanthus africanus, this is actually a louse of African origin, and they have been recorded in our country also. Then Linognanthus pedalis, confirmatory report is yet available from our country, whether this louse is present in our country or not. And this is also of considerable pathogenic importance. And in case of goats, only one species is Linognanthus stenopsis, commander, the sucking louse, which occur on the body of goat. To understand for a better control of any parasite, we need to understand the biology or life cycle. Based on the life cycle, we can find the places other than the host where the parasites spend some intermediate period. Accordingly, we can direct our managemental strategy. Just briefly, I would like to refresh your knowledge on biology of lice. There being a permanent ectoparasite, they remain in all stages, occur in the same host individual, and the females, they lay eggs with a cementing substance, which by help of which the eggs are firmly glued or cemented to hair. So these eggs don't fall down. They remain attached to the host body until they hatch. And these eggs, under favorable condition, they hatch within 9 to 10 days, being attached to that wool or hair, and from which the nymphs come out, and these nymphs further undergo two developmental stages. So 3 stages of nymphal stages are there, and they become mature. The nymphs become adult in about 4 to 5 weeks time. So this is one, in one way, advantageous to the clinicians or parasitologists. for controlling lice because nowhere else they occur. They occur on the host only. If we search for them, we can only find them in the host. And they are macroscopic, we can easily identify them. So this life cycle period, which makes 4 to 5 weeks, is very important because these nits or eggs are very resistant. They may not respond to insecticidal treatment, for which we have to repeat the treatment unless we have knowledge how long it takes to develop the adult. We cannot have a comprehensive control. This is, as I told you, just to again emphasize on that, it's for a visual memory that all stages of lice occur on the same host and the entire life cycle is completed on the same individual host. How lice are transmitted? Because they occur on the same host, they remain attached to the same host, then how do they travel from one host to other? Lice are permanent ectoparasites, so they are only transmitted through direct contact. Maximum, the major mode of transmission is direct contact by any means. Even the lice sometimes climb up to the tip of hair or wool and wait when another animal passes by. Within a very short time also they can pass on to another host, another suitable host. But apart from this, transmission rarely occurs from dirty sets because these lice can remain viable outside the host, not for a longer period, but at least 2 weeks if the shade is moist, dark. It can thrive for longer period. And sometimes if we use the same shearers, after shearing one lousy animal, we again shear one healthy or unaffected, uninfested sheep, then it is likely to contaminate that one. And sometimes they take temporary shelter in the shoes and clothing of shearers. So through that, they can be transmitted to another host. That is how the lice are transmitted. And in our country, lice infestation is observed during peak winter, which is not in the temperate countries where snowfall is there. They usually get maximum infection during spring or early autumn. This Damalinia ovis or Bovicula ovis, the sheep body louse, it is susceptible to high temperatures. If temperature is increased beyond 35 degrees centigrade, then they may die. They are also intolerant to moisture. Damp fleece with a relative humidity of 90%. In that condition, it will die in 6 hours. And even if we cover lice by water, if we put the animals immersed in water for 1 hour, this Damalina ovis will die. And some other species of lice will die, but this is not practicable. The foot louse of sheep, that is Linonganthus pedalis, the sucking lice. This has been observed that this can remain viable on pasture for about 1 week. So pasture-borne contamination of healthy sheep cannot be ruled out. If it is always important to detect ectoparasitic infestations as quick as possible, because if it is neglected and infestation enters into the flock, with a single sheep, it can infest the entire flock within 4 months. And lice infestations more affects the young animals, lambs and kids, malnourished animals, and animals having low immunity or some intercurrent diseases. So if we see all these conditions, malnourished, having low immunity, and intercurrent disease, our sheep and goats, most of them are coming under at least one of this condition. How do these lice harm the animals? The biting lice or chewing lice and sucking lice, they almost cause similar type of pathogenesis, except few differences. This Dammalinia species, which affects the sheep and goats, they always crawl here and there. This is a very active louse. They crawl and scratch the skin here and there on the body. So due to that, there is intense irritation, which makes the animal to get rid of the irritation. It rubs against hard objects like fence, wires, then mangers, any other hard objects, they usually try to rub. When there is extensive rubbing or intense irritation, due to extensive rubbing, there is matting of wool or hair and loss of hair. Scratching, while scratching, animals may tear or pull out the fleeces. They used to bite the affected parts, so they injure themselves, from where exudation of serum of little amount of blood is there, which also causes matting of wool and discoloration of wool, for which it the price is, market price is reduced. Dammalinia ovis is capable of rapid population expansion. It multiplies very fast, and it is believed that it can change its reproduction from sexual to asexual by parthenogenesis. So it is seen that maximum lice in the population are females of this particular species. Dammalinia ovis is very active, and it roams in the wool over the entire body, causing more and persistent irritation. The wounds caused by self-inflicted wounds caused by the affected animals, the injury may attract blue flies, which can further complicate the situation due to meiosis or strike. Due to this rubbing, then this wool is reduced. It has been estimated lice cause at least 10% reduction in harvested wool weight due to rubbing. And when it passes rub, it's through wire fences. Due to that also, it losses, there is loss of wool. And usually in the market, the wool fetches at least 10% less value. Apart from all these things, when one animal is feeling irritation, it is annoyed, it is worried, it cannot concentrate in feeding. It cannot search for food. Like our condition where animals go has to travel a long, burning a lot of calories in search of food. In that case, if it doesn't concentrate, if it is not able to concentrate on feeding, then definitely it is going to affect its growth, its production and reproduction. So from that point of view, lice are important. Then coming to sucking lice, because they have sucking habit, they usually cause more irritation than this chewing lice. Sucking lice usually don't feel their belly from one puncture. They are likely to puncture different locations. So, and as all sucking insects are sucking parasites, they usually, naturally, they inject some kind of anticoagulant into the skin for ensuring steady flow of blood. They usually, the old wounds also start oozing. We continue to ooze for some time. And due to this, particularly in the wool breeds or hair breeds of sheep, some places, if there is a heavy infestation, there is matting of wool which are reddish or brownish in color due to blood. And another thing, again, exudation of blood attract flies to cause strike. And because they suck blood, which has been estimated about 13.6 microliter of blood can be sucked by one adult louse, there is every chance of anemia. And where there is anemia, it may lead to other infections, including respiratory infections. Linognanthus pedalis, apart from sucking blood, they can cause severe inflammatory changes in the feet. So the sheep suffer from lameness, which affects their movement and feeding. How to know whether my animal is having some lice infestation? From the clinical signs, which we should observe and must observe as a farmer, there will be restlessness. The animal will not be in peace, calm, and because there will be irritation or itching, the animal will rub its body against hard objects, it will bite, it will lick, it will look that portion, look towards that affected site frequently. And this causes damage to the coat. The hairs become rough and saggy, both due to infestation and due to malnutrition. And there is anemia, which can be examined by looking at the visible mucous membrane. When hairs are parted, lice will be found as small yellowish specks in the hair, in between hairs, little closer to the skin, and small pale eggs are readily found, which are called as nits, which remain cemented to the hairs, scattered throughout the body. So all these can be helpful for diagnosis of lice infestation. It is really easy, doesn't require an expert opinion. The farmer friends can easily diagnose lice infestation. Anybody can diagnose lice infestation because the lice are visible to naked eyes. Just pick up few lice and identify them. But one thing is important, we must be able, based on the points earlier we discussed, we must be able to differentiate it, whether it is chewing lice or biting lice, because based on that, our treatment will vary. Mode of application will vary. So clinical signs, as we discussed earlier, will just arouse suspicion whether my animal is okay or it is having lousiness. And species, if we are interested to know which particular species, which hardly matters because treatment protocols only differ with respect to chewing or sucking louse. It is almost same for all types of lice. That if somebody is interested, or from academic point of view or research point of view, to reach to the specific level of what species of louse actually infest my animal, then he can seek the help of a parasitologist or skilled veterinarian. So these are the photographs which shows you can see nits attached to the hair. If you can blow it, it will not come out because these are very firmly attached, cemented to the hairs. Even after it hatches, some empty coverings still remain attached to the hairs. So it is very easy if we part hair, if you suspect from clinical signs and symptoms, and if we part hairs, we can find these nits at least, if not adult louse. And these are adult sheep body louse. These are Gamalina or Bovicola ovis, which are found in between the hairs. Lot many can be detected, and this is not at all difficult to diagnose lousiness. These are a few clinical signs. Biting, animal is biting, animal is rubbing with horns. You can see the sheep is biting the wool. Sometimes it peels some wool, and this animal is rubbing against wire fence. Anyhow, the animal wants to get rid of irritation, have a piece, and to continue grazing, but many times it is not possible. If you want to know what is the intensity of infection in my animal, this is one reference. If we part the hair up to 10 centimeters, and if you find one single louse, based on that we can calculate on the entire body as 2,500, and we can consider the level of infestation as light. If it is 5, then 12,000, this indicates moderate infestation. And if we find 10, when we part about 10 centimeters hair, then this indicates heavy infestation. In other ectoparasitic infestations, particularly in ticks, in case of flies, in case of fleas, we need to give equal importance to treatment of animal as well as the surroundings or house or shed or pen. But in case of lice, though treatment of some premises is also required, more attention is to be given to treat the lice on animals, because it is only found, it only occurs on animal body. Most of the insecticides, almost all insecticides, they help to destroy the eggs. So 2 treatments at 14 days apart are essential, because it takes maximum 10 days under favorable conditions for the nits to hatch. So if we apply another treatment after 14 days, then it will also kill the newly developed nymphs. At some point of time, we'll totally completely get rid of this lice infestation. But the important is we must be able to differentiate whether it is biting louse or sucking louse. In case of biting louse, if we go for injectable or oral form of insecticides, it will not work, because they will never reach the chewing louse. They only feed on epidermal scales, some hairs, and some exudates or crusts, in which the drugs will not be available. But in case of sucking louse, because they suck blood, they can be killed. Another problem here is, even in case of sucking louse, the nits, they don't suck blood. So they will escape, they will remain, and they will cause further infestation. So in case of lice infestation, this systemic or parenteral application of medicine, insecticides, is not that much helpful. That is why the drugs which are available to be applied in form of spray or shower or dust or dips should be chosen. As we know, there are many available insecticides. We started with drugs, organophosphates, organochlorines, which are now phased out because of their detrimental effect on food chain, residual residue on wool and fiber, residue on skin, hide, and they cause environmental pollution, apart from causing comparatively more toxicity to the treated host. So they are gradually phased out. Now, the new formulations, particularly synthetic pyrethroids, formamidins, these type of drugs are in market. We usually, in field conditions, we are using this synthetic pyrethroids like cypermethrin, deltamethrin, then flumethrin, fenvalerate. All these drugs we are using in more, and these drugs can be applied as a dip or as a spray or as shower. When we apply dust like Comaphos, okay for small number of animals, but when we are having large number of animals in our herd, then it is difficult to treat all the animals, and these dust forms are not uniformly applied. They usually have not desired effects. So when you go for topical applications with pour-on, spot-on, it works better, and dipping is always preferred to get a plunge dipping is always preferred to get rid of lice infestation, and at least 2 treatments should be done at 2 weeks interval. And in case of sheep, shearing itself, simple shearing can eliminate up to 77 to 80% of loss. And after shearing, if medication is applied in form of dip, it works excellent, where all these stages are killed easily. So in addition to that, there is also this application of insect growth regulators, or IGR, which inhibit the growth of chitin. And there are some juvenile hormone analog which doesn't allow the stage to develop to next stage. So by that, the developing stages are also killed. These are the treatments, these are the drugs now we are widely using. Macrocyclic lactones like ivermectin, doramectin, moxidectin. But as we know, these drugs cannot be effective against biting lice, not at all effective. And it is also not effective against NEAT or egg stage of sucking louse when given orally or injectable form. Pour-on treatment may be less effective for goats because of variability in hair fibers. In some places, there will be dense hair. In some places, there will be short hair. So this pour-on may not be equally distributed. Bioavailability of drugs at each place may not be equal. A good degree of lice control, as I told, can be achieved by shearing only, because solar radiation and dehydration, these lice are very prone, susceptible to desiccation. So when there is intense solar radiation and the animal is sheared, this affects the hatchability of eggs. So ultimately reduce the population. Sheep should be treated after shearing, which can be repeated up to 5 weeks. Repeated shearing, after shearing, we can dip the animal. So this will completely eliminate the lice. Lambs and kids should be regularly examined for lice infestation, and if necessary, should be dipped at monthly interval. So these kids and lambs, they are more affected. Pathogenesis is more in case of kids and lambs, particularly in case of sucking louse. If they neglected, they may be severely affected and succumb. I'd like to request my farmer friends to examine at periodic interval and for presence of needs or lice. However, when there is severe cold, we should not go for shearing or dipping, because this will adversely otherwise affect the animals. And one thing should be kept in mind. This lice can, particularly Damalina ovis, it can remain viable feeding on the residual fleece in this sheared fleece if it has dropped somewhere at the shearing complex for at least 2 weeks. So if they fall down, they will be searching for a new suitable host. So whenever a healthy animal enters that area, it will be infested. So after shearing premises should be sprayed with suitable insecticides, which with double the concentration what we apply on the animal. Some preventive measures we can adopt, though it is not 100% effective, or we can completely save our animal from lice infestation. These are based from native practice, and it has been, this knowledge have been purified and it is now disseminated. Brushing is a good practice. It not only removes the lice, other things like dandruff and other, and the makes, it will also remove the lice to a considerable extent. Some essential oil, when applied before brushing or after brushing, the smell or the scent of essential oils will irritate the lice. They will not remain cling to the hair or skin for longer time. They will be moving here and there, disturbed. And at that time, if we brush the animal, they will fall down and they can be destroyed. Such essential oils may be neem oil, Azadirachta indica, tea tree oil, lavender oil, peppermint oil. As we all know, all these oils are now easily available in market. But brushing and application of essential oils is not practically feasible when we are having a large number of flock. So these are few tips to attain the optimum result of treatment and control of lice. Healthy animals having all parameters at normal is rarely affected with diseases, not only lice infestation, and it enables the animal to fight against infection or infestation better. So healthy diet is essential. And when sheep and goats are affected by the lice, they may not show interest in eating or feeding because they are disturbed. In such a case, at that time, we should ensure easy availability of feed and fodder to those animals for eating. If possible, we must provide adequate concentrate feed and concentrate supplementation and vitamin and mineral supplementation with which will increase their vigor and increase their ability to fight infestations. While we shear or treat for lice infestation, we should choose a remote place, because if we, while treating some lice, out of panic, if they leave the host and fall on ground, they'll be in a hurry to attach another host. So it may cause spread the infestation. And it is not that we'll leave some animals without treatment. For to get rid of lice entirely from the flock, we must treat each and every infested animal, and no animal should be left unchecked. Even if few number of lice are found, they must be treated with effectively. They must be treated and monitored for coming 3-4 weeks. And the treatment in lousy animal needs frequent treatment, repeated treatment. Single treatment is not sufficient, because need stage, developmental stages will be there. As lice is a problem in our country during winter. Why in winter? Because in winter, in our housing system, or even if we provide adequate floor space, the animals, to avoid a winter, particularly the goats, they come closer to each other. Their body touches each other, so the contamination spreads. And due to severe winter also, the animals may remain under stress, which increase their susceptibility. So in winter season, the lice infestation is more. So if we are encountering lice infestation during every winter, then we should get prepared before arrival of winter to combat lice infestation. We should provide balanced nutrition to maintain immunity. Actually, this is only possible at present context. This is only possible in some organized farm, and it may not be possible for each and every small ruminant or small animal owner, small ruminant owner in our country. Still, we should try our best to provide them adequate forage by collecting, so that they will get adequate nutrition. Periodic treatment for worm infection and other diseases, regular vaccination against common bacterial and viral diseases, which will otherwise make the animals weak, debilitated, and they will be more prone to lice infestations. Infested animals should not be introduced into flock. This is very important, as nowadays we are getting this, as I told, the small ruminant farming is still within poor and marginal farmers, and under several state and center sponsored schemes, frequently they are provided with new animals. And while purchasing these animals, each and every animal should be checked for lice infestation, tick infestation, or any other infection. At least these ectoparasites not accompany with our new animals. So while we are introducing new animals, we must be careful for this. And if we find any animal is having infestations and we have purchased it, we have to bring it with us. We have to keep it isolated in quarantine for at least 3 to 4 weeks. Even the healthy flocks should be, I would like to emphasize, even the healthy flocks we are newly introducing, healthy animals we are newly introducing must be kept in quarantine for at least 3 to 4 weeks, so that if any stage in minor infections or more light infestations are there, it may flare up within this time, and we can easily detect them and treat them. And until we are ensured that this animal is completely free from ectoparasites, then only we should introduce it into our healthy flock. Overcrowding in the shade should be avoided. Needless to say that our our farmers are compelled to keep their sheep and goats always in overcrowded condition because they have small floor space. Even during my field career, I have seen poor farmers, they only live on these small ruminants. They don't have enough space even for their residence. They just enclose with fence, with a green fence and some these palm leaves and other, then surrounds a little space available with them and keep their small ruminants after returning from grazing. All are loaded, are forced to remain. In these conditions, lice infestations will be definitely more. Other infections will be more. Animals' growth will be affected. And the animal will never get scope to sleep, not to move even next step. And this is a problem everywhere in our rural area. So I will request the farmer friends to find some way. At least they should not keep large number if they don't have adequate space to maintain. So they should avoid overcrowding of animals. It not only promotes infection, but it is one kind of inhumanity, unethical. After shearing, premises should be sprayed with insecticide, as I told earlier, and dropped hairs, if any, should be removed with vacuum clean. That should be cleaned with a vacuum cleaner. Rotational use of insecticide class should be there to avoid resistance. These drugs, insecticides, acaricides available in the market come under 3-4 classes having different mode of action. And many of them have developed resistance. Whatever new drugs we are getting, their use is restricted to canines and felines, companion animals, monogastric animals. For ruminant livestock, we have very little new drugs. And unfortunately, most of the drugs have shown developed resistance, not drugs, the parasites have developed resistance. The ectoparasites have developed resistance to such drugs reported from different corners of country and world. So at least to delay the development of resistance, as a thumb rule, we must go for rotational use of insecticide having different mode of action. I thank each and every one for participating.